Welcome to Emery on the Move. Darnell Radford here with my trusty travel producer, Woodsy. We are here in Edinburgh, Scotland for the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. I can't wait to dig into this crazy thick Fringe guidebook featuring over 3,800 productions and events. Stay with us here on Rep Radio and on Broad Street Review podcast. For August, it's all Edinburgh Festival Fringe. Did you know that artists come from around the world and even our hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to entertain, engage, and inspire cultural enthusiasts from all over the globe? I'm going to catch up with a few performers and attendees that made it over the pond. Maybe you'll recognize a few voices along the way. So ride with us. Emery is on the move. On today's podcast, I'm at the Nerve Center of the 213 Collective, and Steve Pacek talks about the Untitled Project number 213, making its Edinburgh Festival Fringe debut. Here is my interview with Steve Pacek. Welcome to Rep Radio. I'm your host, Darnell Radford, and today I'm still in Edinburgh, Scotland, here for the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. And at this very moment, I am in the nerve center of the 213 Collective. And I'm here with creator Steve Pacek. Steve, welcome back to Rep Radio.
Thanks for having me, Darnell, and welcome to the Nerve Center, a.k.a. our living room of our flat here in Edinburgh.
Yes. How has Edinburgh been treating you so far?
Woo! It is a whirlwind over here, y'all. It's a crazy amount of activity that is happening in one little place on the planet. It's pretty insane. The first couple days were especially whirlwind-like because we arrived on the 1st of August, and we're planning to head right into our tech rehearsals for our show at our venue, and all of our baggage was lost for like the first 2.5 days.
Yeah.
So that was a whirlwind, but luckily we got all of our bags back 2 hours before our first performance. So now that we have all of our things, now things are definitely settling in.
Yeah. Definitely needed a video documentary of that panic.
Oh, yeah.
2 hours.
I'm sure some people would have been
Production
thoroughly
team is
entertained.
freaking out.
Yeah.
So while this production is new to Edinburgh, it is not new per se, and it's not new to Fringe. So tell us a little bit about the journey of the Untitled Project number 213.
So it began about 10 years ago at the Philadelphia Fringe. And Jen Rose, who's here in the Nerve Center with us currently, and Dan Kazemi and I were all living together, just going to give it away, at 213 McKean Street in South Philly, Pennsport. And we had decided that we were going to give ourselves a deadline of creating something. Because sitting around the house, we would always used to make little things and play music and make little hand dances. And so we gave ourselves a deadline, and we decided to sign up for a slot in the Philadelphia Fringe. So we did that, completely not knowing what we were going to create. Hence the second part
That's
of the
the
title,
way.
Untitled. So when it came time to fill out all the paperwork, we didn't even know what it was going to be. So we called it Untitled Project 213 for our address. And you know, as artists, you can't help but create work based on your life, I think. A piece of you always weaves its way into what you do and make. And so I was still very much going through the recovery, not recovery, but life after the loss.
Processing.
Yeah, I'm still processing. Still am processing. But my partner, Jorge, had passed away a couple of years prior to that. So that was still very much what I was going through. And so that found its way to weave its way into the stuff that we were creating. So ultimately, the piece that we created, Untitled Project, became kind of a view of the process of grief, as told through the eyes and the hands of a sad clown mime. A weird juxtaposition, but it actually makes a lot of sense because, everything in life has both parts, happy and sad. So it was a cool kind of journey to put that kind of container on a story of sadness. This being that's all about joy, spreading joy and love and smiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was about 10 years ago?
That was about 10 years ago. Yeah, so that was the original, the OG production. Then it kind of went dormant for a little while until it came back. We did a secret showing a couple of years ago in 2017 at the Drake back in Philly. And we added a couple new elements, but for the most part, the piece remained very similar. It was in a new space, so that, of course, changed it a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we only did a small little weekend of secret showings. Secret just because it was only by invitation. It wasn't open to the general public.
Yeah.
And then, in preparation for Edinburgh, we did a run of it at Theatre Horizon back, the beginning of June, I believe it was. And so this is technically our fourth presentation of the project over 10 years.
Let's go back to the first production. How are you feeling, and what did it feel like? Because you're still processing, and at that time it had to be, more raw than it is now.
Yeah. Well, it was the first time that I really presented anything that was fully like a creation of mine, fully original. So that in and of itself is something completely nerve-wracking. I'm also a visual artist, so I have paintings and things that I've made that I present to people. That's all mine. But as far as the theater goes and the immediate communication of the feedback loop of an audience and then talking to people afterwards, you don't really get that with a painting necessarily all the time. So that was a very nerve-wracking thing to do. And then on top of the fact that it was such a personal kind of story, I remember actually there's other characters from my life that appear in the piece. Kind of tells my whole story. And I remember being very nervous for my family to come because they're represented in some aspects of the piece too. That's one of the things I most remember, that I was so nervous for my family to come and see themselves represented on stage. Very lovingly, but I was still just so nervous because, that's such a personal thing. And
they're like, I know that makeup anywhere. That's your father.
I know that walk. No, luckily there's enough suspension or removal from reality because we kind of go to the surreal world, that I think that maybe there were things that they didn't even recognize were them, but were them. But they loved it. It's one of my mom's favorite things that I've ever done.
Yeah. So when I think about pieces like this, they're short. So this is an hour, and there's a moment when everything becomes clear for me. It's usually in the middle or towards the end of the production. But there are some earlier moments where, an audience goer may be thinking like, what is this? Or where are we? Or it starts to pull in, starts to make sense. And so for you all crafting this story, when did it all start to make sense? How did you take all of these elements and create a through line to get to an end point in the story?
It's a great question, and I don't know if I can put my finger exactly on the timing of it, but so Dan, Jen, and I, so Jen is the choreographer, Jen Rose, Dan Kazemi is the composer and music director, and so we definitely were the overseers of the story and the project and kind of trying to shape it, but it was very much, I guess you would liken it to the devise process. So our team of artists that were helping us make this piece were very much a part of shaping it. So I just remember having discussions, and some of them were tear-filled, not because of group dynamic, but because of the story that we were telling. So we allowed kind of the emotional journey to kind of lead us and shape the story and put the pieces in place in a certain order, in a way. We tried to take our brains out of it and lead with our heart.
Yeah.
And if you've seen any of the production or the marketing materials, you see hearts are very present in our story. So we tried to lead with that and let that tell us where to go next. But yeah, it probably was over the course of a handful of rehearsals in the Pennsport Dance Academy. That's where we originally put the piece together, where we found our way as a group, but definitely not from any one of our own minds individually.
What were the earlier responses of the piece? Like, how did the audience receive it?
They received it very well, and I was actually I had no clue what it was going to be, because when you're inside of something for so long, you don't really. I shouldn't speak for everybody. When I'm inside of something, I kind of lose a little bit of perspective.
Yeah.
So I was shocked at how much people were moved by it. I remember a couple of friends, maybe you might have had them on at some point, Mike Doherty and Carl Clemens Hopkins. They were in the audience. They came to the same show in the Philly Fringe. And I remember after curtain call, we did our bows. I remember seeing them there in the audience, and then we left to go backstage and get changed and get out of our clown makeup, which can take, a considerable amount of time, at least 15 or 20 minutes. And when we came out of the dressing rooms, they were still sitting in their same seats in the audience. Full-on processing, meaning tears were flowing still 20 minutes later. And I went over to them, and they just like bear hugged me in this group hug, and were just saying that was one of the most beautiful things I have ever witnessed. And they knew of Jorge, but they didn't necessarily know Jorge, so they didn't have that personal connection. But it still was greatly moving to them. And then they said that they went out and sat at a restaurant and had lunch and talked about the show for hours, which is also a similar response that Scott Shepard from Lightning Rod Special came to see that production also. And we use a quote of his because it's awesome. He says that also he went out for a couple hours after seeing the show and decided that he wanted to make theater for the rest of his life.
Wow.
After seeing it. Because I think it's definitely a form, a way of storytelling that I have found really responds and connects to artists, people really interested in process. We had a young university student at the show last night who came up and was talking about that, how there's not a whole lot of that kind of work that celebrates everything, every mode of storytelling. It's not, you can't call it a musical, you can't call it a play, you can't call it a clown piece, because it's not any one thing, but it's a collection. It's a 213 collective of things. So yeah, the response is really emotion filled.
Yeah.
Cathartic. It's been called, I think Justin Jane from Berserkers, the Berserker residents back home in Philly, and a past Fringer himself, called the work in a blog that he wrote, theater as catharsis, which I love. I love that, right? I hope to go to the theater and feel something and step outside of the norm and the typical things that I see. So that's why the Fringe is a great place to be, because there's so much of that going around.
Yeah.
But I think the piece fits very well into a Fringe environment for that reason.
There are times when I'm experiencing a piece and I go back to this thought process where I'm thinking, if I was experiencing a film right now, and there's a scene in the film that takes place in a theater, this is the kind of production that would be on stage. It just has this, like, how do we show an audience who may not be familiar what happens in a theater, like a great example of a theater piece. And it's you know, there are moments where you feel that and you're just like, wow, this would be, I could see a slow pan, I could see, you know, a focus on two artists or two actors who are, you know, dealing with some other drama, and because they are processing this in this moment, and the audience is here with us as well, like you're seeing this as like a pivotal moment for growth for this character.
Yeah.
And it's because they are experiencing a great example of art on stage.
Yeah.
And I felt like that about this piece. The first time I saw it was in June, and I was processing it as if it were a table read. For me, like, I was trying to understand all of its beats, all of its moments, to figure out where we were going and how we got to the end. And by the end, there was a woman sitting next to me who just sort of, you know, leaned forward into her lap and just started bawling. And I remember her child, and there was someone else in between, like a grandmother or auntie, sister or something. And I remember the child saying, "Why is mommy crying?" And I thought about it and I said, can you just imagine how people are processing this throughout the room?
Yeah.
And, you know, you have your own emotion attached to this piece as well. But the expression of this emotion unlocks so many doors for so many other people.
Yeah.
And that's something that you can't sense ahead of time.
Yeah.
So every experience of this, you know, has that opportunity.
For sure. And there are people that are dealing with grief in many different forms at many different stages. And I have no idea who's coming to the theater that night and where they are. Whether it's something from years and years ago, whether it's something somebody's going through. I've had experiences where people come and have had very similar journeys as mine, like shockingly so.
Yeah.
And talk to me about that afterward, and I'm like, whoa. Like, I know as an artist, I'm like, well, what if? So I have to take a situation and imagine if I was in that situation, but to actually speak to people who have gone through a very similar story is wild.
Yeah.
But we do try to. I was speaking with an audience member last evening after the show, and I was happy to hear that she believes, because this is what we try to do, is to lead through that journey with love and to take care of our audience and not to serve them up this this journey, this heavy journey, and to make them feel like we're just leaving them nowhere. Because there's hope in the piece, there's beauty in the piece, there's love in the piece, and in my opinion, it's about making something beautiful from a very ugly thing that unfortunately is a big part of life.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to look up this term, but there's a Japanese art form with pottery, and you paint the cracks gold. So it's actually honoring all of the brokenness.
Oh, wow.
And I need to learn what this term is. So if any listeners out there,
Yeah. if we find it, we'll put it in the notes.
yeah, but it's that'd be great. I would love to read. I would love to see what it is. But it kind of honors that kind of mentality too, is that there is beauty even in the broken.
Yeah. You have a character in the piece that is, sort of a business person, works in the office, sees your character as the street performer, and just sees him from afar. It's not really engaged in what's happening down there, but sort of from a distance, and then kind of becomes the audience for us.
Yeah.
And it it was my thought that this character asks all the questions that the audience would ask.
Yeah.
You know, we're all curious. The curiosity that brought this character uh, down from their office
Mm-hmm.
is what brought us to the theater.
Right.
And the questions that are asked, you know, are expressed. The answers are expressed instead of just given.
Correct.
And I really appreciate that because it's allowing us to kind of not overthink what we're experiencing. Because in our heads we're saying, well, why are you not speaking?
Yeah.
Well, he already asked that. So
Right.
now we don't have to think about it and we could just move forward.
Yeah, that's one of the first questions.
And then
yeah.
it's like, well, let me step back a little bit and show you some excerpts from my life.
Yeah, and in an artistic way, as great art is open to interpret.
Yeah.
And so it will become the truth of those memories that you see throughout the piece will be true to each individual person and to interpret as they will.
Yeah.
You know, we had our intention, we had the source material, the source experiences that we created them from, but I love art that is open to interpretation.
Yeah.
So to ask the questions or to talk to the people that you were sitting with, like the few people from the original Philly Fringe production that said that they went out with their friends and talked for a few hours about it. Like, I love that. I love that it's not just, you're not just given exactly what you're supposed to have in a nice little container and then you just go away and never think about it
Yeah.
or talk about it again.
There are just so many elements of this piece that are just so well done. Like the
choreography.
yes.
I say that for our listeners because Jen Rose is
yes.
sitting right over there.
The choreography is beautiful, and seeing it in Theater Horizon, where this is a full-on stage where you have more space to kind of breathe
Yeah.
and sort of, you know, turn into these moments. But then in this space, there's a restraint you can almost feel in the choreography, but it also works. It works so well. It's like we're still in this box observing this. And so it had this intimacy that I didn't feel at Theater Horizon.
Sure, that makes...
which I really appreciated here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, like, some of our audience members here at Greenside are literally on stage.
Yeah.
Some of the seats are on stage seats.
Yeah.
Right in the action, so it makes sense that you would feel that way here. And that's the thing that I would say probably has breathed most. Breathed most
Yeah.
over the course of the history of this piece is we've always done it in quite different spaces, all four different versions. And the choreography is the thing that actually does the breathing a lot in the piece. So that's the thing that has shape-shifted and grown and shrunken and re-angled. And
I think it's something you can easily forget about when you transfer a piece from, say, the original venue to another venue. You do have to make adjustments. You don't just, I'm just dropping it into another space where we might have more seats.
Right.
But it's like, no, you know, this venue might not have the flexibility that the other venue had, and you do have to make those adjustments.
Yep.
Also, the music, like just the fractured tone of that piano.
Yeah. The little baby toy
Yeah.
piano. I know.
I love that too, and it just it all feels like a dream.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like this is how you would process. This is how your brain would process this tragedy to memory.
Yeah.
And so that becomes clear as you get towards the final scenes, which are just heartbreaking and beautiful.
Yeah,
and
the
it's
music...
crazy that this is still a very, like, all ages piece, but it has this layer where it gets so real and so intense. But you're right. There's still this hope at the end, and you look at it and you're like, oh, it's just this is how it's done.
with the snap. I appreciate the snap. But yeah, the kind of going back to the music for a second, one of the other main characters in the piece, besides the seven of us on stage, is the phonograph.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an old-fashioned phonograph player with the bell, the RCA bell, and so the memories come to life very much through the music of the records that my character puts on and listens to them. So from this magical device of yesteryear, that's actually a little beat up and broken too, creates this beat up and broken but beautiful music that these dances come out of, these memories, these flashbacks. And so, Dan really did a great job, I think, of creating a score, completely original score that really goes there, that travels to those places. Little insider info is our main theme. It's a waltz, a 3/4 time composition that Dan actually composed from numerology and numerics using 2-1-3 a lot. So a lot of those, for any music nerds out there that come to the show, listen for the 2-1-3 progressions in our theme song, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and then as you were saying, that how it really can speak to audiences of all different places where they are, all different ages. We've had numerous amounts of kids come and see the show who are thoroughly engaged to some of the deeper themes. I think, they don't necessarily get or understand what's happening, but there's so much visual interest and a number with kids using these big oversized red balls as they probably feel like on the playground and stuff. So there's a lot of really cool visual stuff that I think kids have really, really appreciated.
I was thinking a great addition, because I'm looking at some supplies here, is that if those kids walk out with a balloon, that would be cute.
A little shout out to an image from our show. Yeah,
and it's quite scarce, so. Let's put on your producer hat, because we're here at Edinburgh Festival Fringe, where it's all about the art. But let's be honest.
Yeah, let's talk real.
It is a master class in producing.
Yeah, producing, marketing 101,
publicity, and everything. So, what are some of the? How are you? What are some of the creative ways you're attempting to promote this piece and to get sort of the attention of so many consumers of the Fringe as they are wading through a catalog of 4,000 plus productions?
I'm in progress. I'm a work in process as far as that goes. But I'm definitely learning a ton on the job. We did a lot of the stuff that was recommended through the Fringe Society. It's all about the flyering and the handing out of your marketing materials to people on the street. The cast and I, every day in costume on the way to and from the theater, we go in costume, we bring the big balls with us so everybody's eye comes to us. And we take that opportunity to capture people's attention and then hand them our flyers. I also did a number of the Out of Hand, which is the big, large poster format. I guess producing company that is the only place that you can purchase those large format posters. So I did a number of those. They're scattered throughout town to hopefully just keep people looking at the image and being like, oh, what's that? Right? Because I think it's something like if you see something or hear something 7 times, then it processes has the potential once to stick. Yeah, right. At least once, So I've done that. It's about trying to message all of the press and the blogs, the websites here that are part of this massive festival, and trying to get the word up on there, to get your postings listed on there, potential people to come and review the show. That hasn't happened yet, which I wasn't expecting, as this is our first year, but we'll see. still possible. In addition, Drexel, from back home in Philly University, they have a program that runs during the month of August for their arts and entertainment management students, and they've taken our show on as one of the projects that they're helping to promote also. And
Who's
support.
running that?
Brandon Wiles is his name. He's the head of that. Well, Brandon and Brian. It's kind of a two-headed monster.
Team.
Yeah, team. That's a better word for it, not a monster. Although the festival can feel like a monster that you have to figure out.
Drexel calls it a dragon.
Oh, that's true. So that works.
It's a two-headed dragon.
So we'll go with dragon, a two-headed dragon. They've got a group of about, I think it's 10 or 11 students, and so they've divvied up responsibilities. So we've got a few of the Drexel students that are helping us. They just made a lot of publicity material for us over the last couple days, and they're going to be going out and handing out. They've made these heart stickers with our hashtag and our info on them that they're going to just go and hand out in crowds of people. We have a couple of street performances coming up over the next handful of days, and they're going to be there with our balls, so people see the image from the show, and hand out our flyers. So it's a lot of work ahead of time in sending your press releases out. Just that's the normal thing. It's just a huge amount of people going after the same people. Yeah. Whereas back home in Philly, in the producing model, you know your outlets, and you know that the seasons are kind of spaced out. This is like a whole entire world's worth of seasons going on in a very limited amount of time. So it's hard to capture everybody's attention. But it's a lot of pre-work that way, and then it's a lot of footwork on the ground, handing things out while you're here.
I was pleasantly surprised at the amount of Philadelphia and New York-based artists. We have a lot of artists representing our region.
There are.
Here, and is there any cross-promotion going on with those other groups?
Well, I know that XOXO Moon Girl from Almanac, they give us a shout out after their performance the other day, which is nice, and we'll be returning the favor. There's the Drexel. So Drexel is also helping promote them too. So we're borrowing students to go ahead and help hand out flyers. So definitely cross promotion in that way. I'm not so sure about like how much is possible in that kind of cross promotion other than giving shout outs and helping each other flyer in ways. So I'm still trying to figure out what other possibilities are as far as that goes.
Future planning.
Yeah, I mean there's so much that we'll be able to get done this go around.
I'm planning a publicity arm.
Yeah, but for future
to
seasons,
represent all of our artists. There's so many
there's
out
so
here.
many.
Like there's got to be some interesting ways to promote all of them in one shot. Here, get your Philly fix.
Yeah.
I
think
Edinburgh.
it's just about getting creative with it, thinking outside the box. And so that's what I'm most excited with my own little postmortem myself after the festival, seeing, what I think really worked and trying to find creative solutions for things that I wish could have gone better. But a lot of that kind of has to happen in pre-production, in the months and months leading up, because this whole process began back in January for me.
Yeah.
So taking the information that we get for the next go around and then coming back bigger, better, and stronger.
Can you point out an element of Edinburgh Festival Fringe that is unique here that may have been different in previous runs? What's unique about the Fringe here that wasn't a factor in previous productions?
As far as just the show goes, or as far as the whole experience?
Just the whole experience.
There is just so many things. There's so much going on. Every hour of the day, you can go and see whatever you want to see.
Yeah.
There is a plethora of offerings, which is once you get past the intimidation factor of that and the overwhelmingness of a sea of art happening around you, it actually gets to be kind of an amazing experience too. I'm kind of tapping a little bit back into my college experience, where I like to say that I lived in an art bubble, because that's kind of what it is here. It's magical and glorious as far as that goes.
I'm like, is this a reflection of a safe world? You know, as I say that, this police activity
siren
comes. They're just making sure it stays safe.
That's right. That's right.
There is something about being immersed in arts and culture where you just feel safe. Like, I always make these comments, like, I would feel like I could lose my wallet in an arts organization and get it back. You know, there's just this mentality. It's like, who's in here trying to get over on us? You know, and if somebody is, like, let's say someone can't afford a ticket, you know, so they're finding a way to sneak in or something, like, I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah. Because they want to experience this so bad that they're finding, like, some shady way to get into my show. I'm like, you know, you sort of want to welcome them. Oh, we've got a seat right here for all the cheapskates.
Exactly. Well, there are, and you know, that's what theater has kind of developed into this raffle, the theater raffle or theater rush, as a way to try to get everybody in, even if you can't pay the premium prices.
See, even though there are so many people here ready to consume this art, do you feel that it's still accessible to them? Like, is the art still for the people? Or is it so commercial here that it's getting the attention of other forces?
I think yes and both parts of that. I think there are definitely some much more commercial ventures that are going on here. But there's a whole lot of not that also. So I think that there has to be something for everybody with this amount of things that are going on. There, I can confidently say that there is definitely something for everybody at the festival. That's what it seems like. Yeah. Even in the last couple of days when I've been able to go out and start seeing things, I've already seen quite a range of work and levels of stuff that's going on. And I imagine that will only continue to be the case the more days that go by and the more stuff I'm able to see.
That goes into my next. When you're not on stage, what are you doing? What's your day like? Because I just assume everything that leads up to your performance is kind of like recuperating, resting, relaxing, or are you
resting's a
cramming
little
in a
bit
bunch of shows before your show?
Well, we'll take today for instance. So today, I slept in a little bit because jet lag is real and still continues. Woke up having this lovely chat with you. Then I'm meeting up with my student group from Drexel to talk about some other promotional marketing ideas that they have. Then we have a rehearsal for our busking performance that's happening tomorrow on Upper Stage on the Royal Mile. Then we're going to start getting into costume and makeup and walk over to the theater and use that as a flyering opportunity, marketing. We'll do our show. We'll come down. We'll use the walk back for some more marketing, flyering. And then I believe Jen and I are going to go see an Australian tap show this evening.
Fun.
Question mark? You can talk. They can hear you.
Tomorrow night we're going to
tomorrow night. Okay. Well, we'll probably end up seeing something tonight
clown show.
Also. A clown show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're probably going to see a clown piece tonight.
Cool.
And then I'll grab a sandwich somewhere in there along the way because you do have to remember to eat.
Yeah.
So that's important. And then I'll pass out and hopefully get a good night's rest to begin it all again tomorrow.
I've learned to leave a lot of space for just random things to fill in. Like last night we came across some friends that we hadn't seen in years.
Which has happened more than I realized it would with so many people here. But yeah, it's crazy.
I saw a guy wearing a Eagles championship shirt, and
Flatterers.
I wanted to like grab him, like Philly.
Yep.
That
I
was
met
kinda cool.
a Philly theater goer yesterday at XOXO Moon Girl.
Nice.
Who's actually been to see 11th Hour shows and shows that I've done at the Arden. So, yeah, it's surprising how many people that
Yeah.
you actually come in contact with that you have history with already.
Given your experience so far, what have you identified that would make this experience easier for artists like you?
I do think there's strength in numbers. So while it's harder to produce something that involves more people, because more people equals more dollar signs,
Yes.
more logistics, I do believe that that's a huge support and a help once you're
Yeah.
here because you have a team. I imagine producing something solo would be really epically difficult
Yeah.
for the brain to figure out. Yes, maybe easier on the budget and the wallet, but it's a whole lot of work that has to happen. And so to have helpers and to have people that can help you put it all together, I think is awesome. So I would recommend, even if you are doing a solo show,
Yeah.
think about a team.
I think if there's a way to cultivate local support, like it's hard when you even when you go to another city, it's like I don't know. Do you have a listserv? Can I just send an email to all 4 or 5,000 people that are aware of our theater community, like we do in Philadelphia, or so how do you tap into the community here so that they know you're coming, they're excited about you coming, and maybe you get local people to want to volunteer
Yeah.
to help promote. I think that would be a good thing. If that resource doesn't already exist, and the Fringe Society has nothing to do,
For the next couple weeks.
maybe they could take a few minutes to think about, some sort of like, it's kind of like a speed dating.
Oh, yeah.
They sort of pair up some, lovers of the festival with some pieces that are coming. I think that would be a good idea.
That could be cool. That could be really cool.
Let's see. How can we? What's? I mean, we're still in this. We still have some time for the Untitled Project to influence the festival. But when it packs up to go back to the States, what's next?
That's a great
Does the journey
question.
continue, or does it go back on the shelf for a few years?
I am certain the journey will continue. I don't know exactly what the next steps are, but I've never known what the next steps are over the last 10 years, yet they've always revealed themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm
In
certain
due time.
Yeah, I'm certain it will continue. I know that we definitely have aspirations to bring the piece to New York at some point. Just because, oddly enough, it's so hard to get people from New York to travel down 90 minutes to Philadelphia to come see the show. So we're going to bring the show to the people.
They're like, but I'm already in New York.
Exactly. So we're going to bring it there and invite all of our growing networks of friends and collaborators up there to share the piece with them. And I also would love to, at some point, bring the piece to Minneapolis because Jorge, who the piece is for, was a very beloved member of the Minneapolis theater community. Did a number of shows out there.
Wow.
So we have extended theater family in Minneapolis that I would definitely love also to share this story with. And I have been told that they will come in droves. If we bring it to them, they will bring everybody to see it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's great when Philadelphia artists extend their reach and venture out into other theater markets, because now we have connections there.
Yeah.
And we can support that work. We can bring work to them. and so on. So that would be a good thing. Great.
Yeah, I mean, that's always my favorite part about my work as an artist who travels around different places. Like, yes, I love the support of home and the safety of home, but it's also amazing to go out and have these other experiences, figure out how you tell stories to different people, and then come home and bring that back to your center.
Yeah.
So you keep growing even when you're in the safe bubble of home. You're still growing as an artist.
And much like groups like Almanac, you have some artists in the collective that are on the West Coast.
Yeah, Sam, who's one of our dancers in our show, who plays me in memory form. Yeah, she now lives in Los Angeles. Davey Raffaelli lives up in New York. Jen Rose, the choreographer, lives in New York now. But these are all artists that either grew up or spent a good deal of their training time in Philadelphia. So it's still a Philadelphia story.
Yeah.
But yeah, our artists themselves are expanding to other markets too.
Yeah. Well, let's sound off the rest of the team too. Let's not leave them out.
Okay, Mark Valenzuela's in the room. He's here in the Nerve Center, who's our sound designer, who's been with the project from the very beginning. Actually, everybody on this production has been with it.
That's
Just
great.
about everybody from the very beginning. Lauren Paragard did our original costume designs that we're still using many of the same pieces. And Mary Felino at the Walnut helped re-put it all together for our past couple of incarnations.
Right.
She also helped us get the costumes ready for our time here in Edinburgh. Matthew Lewandowski came on board for the last couple of incarnations at the Drake and at Theater Horizon as our lighting / technical help. We got Virgil Gatson, who just came into the room. Virgil is in the show.
Tore it up on a dance floor last night.
Oh, as he is wont to do. Yeah. Listeners may know Virgil Little O Gatson from, what was it? It was season 12 of So You Think You Can Dance. I mean, he was in the final four. Let's say that's not nothing. That's not nothing.
That is pretty awesome.
It's pretty amazing. And if you go back and watch his videos of his time, he did some really awesome routines on the show. We have Sarah Glico, who has been working with Hot House in Wilma, at the Wilma for a while now, for the last couple of years, and other things throughout town. I mentioned David Raffaelli. We also got Liz Felios, who's a new addition to the 213 collective.
Shout out Alex Kuiper.
With a shout out, yes, of course, always to Alex Kuiper, who will be back and who has not left the 213 collective or Untitled Project number
She's
213.
out there killing it right now.
But yeah,
Hi,
she
Alex.
had a number of engagements that she had to do, and it was a very difficult decision, I know, to not be able to come with us on this journey. But is still with us and will continue to be with us. I'm going down the visuals in my brain. I'm still drinking my first cup of coffee. Thanks for putting me on the spot, Darnell, so early in the morning. Maddie Mastronardi, of course.
Who's that?
Who's that? I don't know. I don't know, Darnell. Who is Maddie Mastronardi? But yeah, a beloved member of our 213 collective and the Philly theater community, teaching artist, musician,
Bringing life to the cello.
bringing life to the cello
Yeah.
and the cello to life.
Yes.
Who else? Help me out, Marky Mark. Back to the original production team. Oh, Alec Farrell. How can I forget Alec Farrell, our stage manager extraordinaire.
Keeping the trains running on
Oh
time.
my gosh! Like, I don't know how anybody would come to Edinburgh without a stage manager in the first place, but I don't know how anybody would come to a stage manager any less talented than Alec Farrell, because it has been a saving grace and has helped me keep everything on track. Woo.
It's nice to have everyone in the same house.
Yeah, that
We're
was
at call.
that
Thank
was
you.
that was something that I definitely wanted to do if we were able to afford, a place of this size to house this many people, and luckily we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really helpful. We have our whiteboard call boards out by the door to the flat so we can always check in on our call times.
Who's not signed in? It's 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Where are they? Having a dance battle somewhere.
Have you checked all the dance halls?
Yeah, right. Well, it is crazy how, stuff, there's a lot of stuff that does close early in Edinburgh, which I was actually surprised with.
Yeah.
Some of the restaurants and bars.
It is a virtual ghost town, and then there are a handful of clubs just
stay
turning
open.
it out
Yeah.
on a Tuesday night.
Exactly.
It's like, really?
Yeah.
That it's all coming from this one club over here around the corner.
Yeah, I'm still figuring that whole web
Yeah.
of places out. But there's parties to be had. You just have to maybe search for them a little bit more. Did I get everybody? I'm trying to rack my brain to make sure I didn't leave anybody out.
Right?
Hmm?
You talked about Jen and Dan.
Yeah, we mentioned Jen and Dan, Alec, me, Mark Valenzuela, Matthew Lewandowski, Alec Farrell, Maddie Mastronardi, Sarah
Liz,
Glico, Liz
Sarah.
Filios. I think that's everybody.
Sam, Virgil.
Sam and Virgil, yeah, Sam Shep. Not Sam Shepard, the playwright, but we have our own Sam Shepard.
Samantha Shepard.
Samantha Shepard, who is our artist that we were talking about, who
wonderful
lives in
dancer.
LA.
And Davey.
And David Raphael. Yep. Yeah, I think we got everybody. With special shout outs to Adam Rigger, who was part of our original Philly Fringe production team, who helped us create a little world of scenery in the Walnut Studio 3. And Dom Chacon. Dom.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yay.
He helped build lights for that original production, too.
Hey, Dom.
Yeah. And Wendy Blackburn Eastland. Wait, did I get that? Wendy
Yeah.
Eastland Blackburn. No,
No.
Wendy Blackburn Eastland,
Yep.
who was our stage manager on the Theater Horizon run.
Great.
I think that's all of our team members. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just one production out of thousands here in the festival.
Mhm.
And the journey to Edinburgh Festival Fringe literally did take a village
Mm-hmm.
of people. So whenever there is a call for funds and financial support, that's why. Because
Yeah.
all of these people came together to bring art to life and continue to do that. So whenever you wonder where all this funding goes, just that list of talented people who helped bring this to Edinburgh is a shining example.
Yes, definitely, and we definitely would not have been able to get here without the support of our friends and family and our donors and our funders that help make this possible. It's like literally, we would not have been able to do it.
Will you get swept up by any of the culture that Edinburgh has to offer? Will you have time? We're
Are you
overlooking
speaking of
the
scotch
cas-
and
yeah.
beer. Or-
We're overlooking Edinburgh Castle.
Yeah, we are.
We're close to the National Gallery and the Museum of Scotland. There's Scottish Parliament here.
Yeah, we
Arthur's Seat.
yesterday we walked up Calton Hill, so got that vantage point from the ruins at the top of that historic site up
Oh,
there,
wow.
which was pretty cool.
Got to add that to my list.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really amazing because it looks out toward the sea, but then you can on the other side of the hill you can look out toward town. So I highly recommend that. But yeah, I have my little sightseeing checklist too
Yeah.
that I hope to be able to delve into more, especially next week. Now that the show is really kind of landing and solidifying.
I think you should all take a cab in costume to the Royal Botanical Gardens.
I've heard it's really, really beautiful.
It's beautiful green space. And
Great.
there's so much out there, like great photo opportunities.
Cool. Yeah, clown car. We'll take our clown car. We'll all come out of the same
There
one.
is a photo on Instagram of all of you crammed into
A taxi.
what do they call them here?
The
a lorry?
Yeah, a lift. I don't
A
know.
lift? Yeah.
I don't know. No, the lift is an elevator.
Because it rained. Yeah, the lift. Because it rained for about 6.5 minutes.
Just enough to
as
destroy
you
all of our
embarked to your
makeup.
venue. Yes. Our promotion.
Mhm. Yeah, that's gonna be a real. That's
when
gonna
you
be
just,
a real thing.
That's when you just wave out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Clown car. Clown
Exactly.
car. Come
Which
see
in and
us
of
at the
itself is a
infirmary.
visual interest that people would stare at. So
I think it'd be good.
yeah.
But you have to get someone else in another car to follow you so they can capture it.
That's right, with like our hashtag written on a big piece of cardboard. Yeah.
I'm seeing it now. There's like a foot out of one window. There's hands out of the other.
A ball
like
out
a
of
ball.
the roof. My umbrella blown backwards inside out because it's getting caught in the wind.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun. Steve Pacek, I'm so glad you were able to bring the 213 Collective and the Untitled Project number 213 to Edinburgh Festival Fringe. It feels, the piece feels fringy. It feels like this is the right audience for it. And I hope that the audiences who experience this piece are as moved as I was and am and continue to be about this piece. It'll be here. How long are you running in the festival?
We run until August 16th. So
Okay.
basically the first 2 weeks of the festival. We won't be around for the third week because we have to get back to Philly rehearsals. But
Yeah, so you've got time. If you're not here, hop on a flight.
that's right.
Get over here. If you don't have time, throw some money at the Collective's way and get them to do it somewhere else.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
That can't hurt. Steve, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's always a pleasure to figure out what it is you're putting your whole artistic self into and all the people you get involved to bring us all to life. I think we are better for it as people.
Thanks, Darnell. And thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, so enjoy the rest of the festival. And,
You too.
I'll be out there with you as well. All right, thanks so much. Rep Radio continues to be inspired by our community and listeners like you. We are proud to be an Emory production. Visit us online at em3ry.com. Ride with us. Emory is on the move.